This is James Stetson with interviewee Fred Brown in Montrose, Colorado.
I grew up in Connecticut, and every summer we would go up to visit my grandparents who lived in outside of Camden, Maine, and they had a summer kind of a. If you ever watched Maine Cabin Masters, one of those little cute little houses along the lake, and it was Lake McGunnacook, a big lake outside of Camden, and their camp, they had a nice dock went out and stuff, and we just would go and we spent all day in the water, and they had a little beach there, and I remember as a kid going out and picking up freshwater clams out of the mud, or actually cut out of the sand. It was crystal clear. The fishing was amazing off the dock. We would catch sunfish, or probably what they call bluegill, all the time, and but my grandfather had some boats for us. He had a little sailboat there. Then he had a little wooden boat that he had made in his shop that was perfect for us. And we would go out and pretend like we were sort of in naval battles, and we would sink our sisters and dunk the boat and drown it and stuff like that. So it was really a great time. I mean, I loved it. And I had learned to swim in a lake as a kid. And I got really fast at swimming because I remember one time I was going out to a dock and a water moccasin went in front of me. And I mean, I'm terrified of snakes. And right after he left, I mean, I swam as fast as I've ever done out to the dock. And then I used to swim back to the beach as fast as I could because I always knew there was going to be another snake that was going to come after me. So that's kind of a fond memory. I just adored going up there and spending all day at the lake. It was just fabulous. We live out here in Silver Hills subdivision, and we have irrigation shares for our subdivision. And I have been the water master literally almost 35 years, I think, in our subdivision. And one of the things early on, I've always, we live in a desert here. And irrigation water is not something to be wasted or to be mismanaged. And our Uncompahgre water valley users do a wonderful job of delivering water and stuff to farmers and to residential areas, etc. And I think early on I realized that I needed to be able to communicate to our homeowners the importance of being able to save it. So being in control of it, I have not taken our full allotment for almost the last 25 years because we have a benefit of having a little bit of a lake that stores water. We're able to regulate it, and our ability to maintain our usage and keeping it low has been better. And we have excellent ditch riders that help us monitor that and stuff like that. And so it's been pretty good, but it's going to change now because I mean, this drought we're in right now is just unbelievable, and we're going to have to make some hard decisions, and maybe that means decisions about how much grass we have in our yard, how we water in our area, and part of that's going to be education, knowing what to tell people and how much water their lawn needs and those kinds of things. So it's been a challenge, but it's also been really neat for me. So I shared it with it in our meeting that I have been cutting. I have not been asking for as much water. We just have enough to maintain a certain level in our lake and stuff like that. So they have been better. Now, not everybody in our subdivision is some people overwater, some people don't. I have a tendency sometimes to overwater. And I've got to be more careful about that. And once people got automated systems, they can adjust their seasonal clocks. They can cut the percentage down. Those kinds of things. Those are the kind of things I've been educating our subdivision with, and seems to be very helpful. I think the key is to find people that know how to use your irrigation clocks. You talk to your local it's the soil conservation.
Soil and water conservation.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I think they could give you definitely literature on how much water your soil needs. Those types of things. You could even put probes in your lawn that tell you whether or not you should water or not. I don't water in high wind, So I don't let my clock dictate when my water is going to go on. I make sure I water in the early evening or early morning, which is the best time from an evaporation standpoint. Those practices, I think, need to be shared, and maybe that's something that could be written up in, a local newspaper or whatever. I've golfed all over the United States, and you go to some places where water is not even an issue because they get ample moisture. Like when I was in Michigan, I mean, these golf courses are absolutely lush, but they're not because they're being irrigated. When you go to Arizona, they use what's called, it's not water you can drink. It's wastewater that has been reused, etc. And one of the things they do on some golf courses is that they'll really only water the tees and parts of the fairway. They'll leave the rough dormant, like in the wintertime, and make sure that the greens are watered. Golf courses probably do some of the best water management, but they do use a lot of water, and that's going to be a hard thing as we go forward here with the drought here, and having to deal with a lack of water. I mean, if you think about it, we only have a finite amount of water in our basin, in the Colorado River Basin. Unfortunately, we have a growing demand for that same water, and it's not sustainable. And so something has to change. And part of that is how much we use and how we use it, and then how we conserve it, and then how we make it more equitable for all those people that depend on that water and that drainage. So I'm a snowtail addict, which means I'm always monitoring where the snow is falling in Colorado. And I also have that on my skier app, so I'm monitoring every ski area in Colorado and how much snow they're getting, because then it helps me kind of get an idea of where the runoff's going to be, how that's going to work. So that's kind of passionate for me. But what's interesting is that our number of ski days has changed dramatically in the sense that the season has gotten shorter and shorter because of climate change. And there are going to be places that are ski areas today that won't be functioning as a ski area because they won't have enough snow, And so one of the other things that's interesting is the impact of our snowpack is really being impacted by dust particles that come and float over and land on that snowpack, changing how the sun interacts with that snowpack, causing it to melt prematurely. And so we see that. I absolutely adore snow, and I love being in really deep stuff. And so I've been monitoring all this stuff out in California, and where they're getting feet of snow. But this year it's interesting. Telluride's not getting near as much snow as Powderhorn. I mean, Powderhorn right now has 160. They've had 160 some inches of snowfall this year already, which is their average is around a little over 200 and some. So they're really getting close to their average already here in January. So I love powder, and I love it when it falls. But we need to think about how we get our water and how it's being impacted by just other environmental concerns. So.